Hello and welcome to our episode Best Upcoming MMORPG. It's obvious that most of us have heard about the new, super mega revolutionary game PAX Day. But unlike most other games and their developers, these workers are very actively sharing the details of the game, and most importantly, they told us when the game will be available. The first full-fledged, but still closed, test will be at the end of this year, without NDA. This means that you can stream, shoot a video about the game and tell everyone about the details. The game itself will give us a very beautiful world divided into 4 large regions. And there is a certain attachment to these regions. For example, in one you are mainly engaged in peaceful affairs, and for PvP, for example, it is worth going to the desert, because there the main meat will develop between clans. The game itself is filled with a lot of sand, which means that you will not only be pumped up with conditional quests, but also build your own house or even a guild base, collect residential and endless adventures. It looks super top, so we are waiting for the end of the year. Considering Blizzard's policy in the last few years, we can safely say that if there are no changes, the same World of Warcraft, which was casualized to disgrace, will fall. Therefore, in my personal opinion, Tar Island, the Chinese version of World of Warcraft, has done a very good job. Visually, as you can see, it is as familiar as possible to the world, and much more active developments with a huge financial margin, which is basically able to make something cool. Here, as well as in WoW, there is no pay to win and there will be a cross-platform between PC and smartphone. But here it is important to say that the focus is on the PC segment, not vice versa. There will be no car crash and other junk inherent in the mobile phone in the game. The game feels super good, but it is still not clear about the depth of development. It will be necessary to test it. The closed beta testing is held very often. The closest is announced to start in November. Oh, and you would know how I was stunned when I found out that ArcheAge 2 will be released around the end of 2024. ArcheAge 2, what is super amazing is that the game has been polished for a long time, and the gameplay that we were provided with looks incredible, to be honest. The development itself is planned to be completed in the second half of next year, and before that, the developers will hold a separate event, where they will tell even more details. The only thing worth noting, although this is MMORPG, this time the developers plan to make a more focused single playthrough, so maybe we will see the second Black Desert online, but we will see how it will be. MMO in the world of Dune, it's something super progressive that doesn't fit in my head at all, but it is so the only thing here. In addition to the RPG component, the developers add the component of the sandbox with survival and principle. It is logical, and Arrakis is not the most picturesque and friendly planet, so maybe it's for the better. Upgrade, good graphics, a lot of crafts, building a house and a base. The game will have a similar classes, but they are more like archetypes, as the further development of the character depends on you. It works like this. You choose the initial set of skills, such basic ones, at the start, and then develop your character in any available direction. There is, by the way, a funny moment about the base. Moisture is important on Arrakis, and water is life here. Therefore, it is better to build a base in certain places where it is. And most likely, behind these places, there will be eternal clashes, which, in principle, is a bit of a hint of interest to the game. In general, it should be interesting. There is something else interesting and promising. This is Queen Fall, another ambitious MMORPG remake, which should be released by the end of this year. So, we have a huge world of 2 million square kilometers. To understand how much it is, the size of the RDR2 map is only 75 square kilometers, and here is 2,000. There will be no standard class characters in the game, and your choice of weapons will determine who you are. No archetypes, but at the same time the pumping will be preserved. Up to level 50, it is the maximum here. Also, a very strong social component awaits us. Castles, guilds, gardens, etc. There are also captures, so the guilds can even capture their islands, and then manage them, and so on. That is, not just some castle, you know, right? In fact, it is also close to the genre of sandbox MMORPG genre. And it's not just packed with ordinary runners around the world, but also with sea content. There are also different servers. Like PvE and PvP, will there be so many people that we don't run around the world for hours looking for someone? This is, of course, a question, but in terms of visual, it looks pretty good, and if this miracle is ever completed, it will be interesting to see. As well as Ashes of Creation, which I'm actually a little ashamed to talk about. It was also an ambitious project that was about to start very soon. You know when the game was announced? in 2016. Yes, they would have done it a long time ago. What's the point of keeping a product that will never come to light? But they still keep on overfiddling with things. Constant reworks, tests, and other crap. I think they've created a new genre. It's called game development, where you watch a 10-year stream of some dudes who are fooling around with the game and never release it. But damn, it's still worth giving it a place. In the last videos it looks not so bad, as it should be, at least. So maybe your children will play it. Well, not one Ashes is rich in the long run. Before you is Project TL, or, to put it another way, or in other words, Throne of Liberty, since it got the title. And this game was remade 3 times. At first it was a conditional third line, then it became Project TL, and then it turned into Throne, where the developers jumped from the metric camera, which is Diablo, and returned to the classics from the third person, which, in my opinion, is correct. And after him, they rewrapped all the lore, after him, all the gameplay, the whole world, the whole game. And the level of remaking is colossal. And it was not without new innovations and a game with weather, which has not yet been in other MMORPGs. And now I will explain what I mean. For example, archers, if they shoot in the direction of the wind, will receive a bonus to the attack, or a penalty if against it. Lightning magic hits one target, but if it rains, then several. A strong rain, for example, can flood some passage and open access to another. It's all cool, at least on paper. Let's see how it will be in reality. By the way, day and night also have a colossal value, as you understand. And the combat system is target, and also a classless system, so everything is standard here. In general, here the developers make the world of the game themselves the core, and the interaction with this world is the basis of the basis. It's interesting and new, to be honest. The game looks good, the only problem is that the release date is not yet clear. As for the release date, the Blue Protocol is already more transparent. The game itself has been playable for a long time, only in Japan. It's a little difficult to get there, as you know. But it will also be released on the global market too. It will be in the beginning of 2024, so your requests are finally heard. The game itself is, of course, not a Genshin Impact if you could think about it. This is a full-fledged MMORPG with a large number of players, good combat, and well-thought-out socialization. It's, by the way, free to play once. And if you don't give a damn about waiting for the European release, so to speak, then welcome to the Japanese servers. And this is Palia, which has already been caught in the open beta test, literally a few days ago. The game itself is the most comfortable MMORPG sandbox you've ever heard of. In fact, it is such a, a simulator of society in a huge fantasy world. You build there all sorts of different things, explore the world and just enjoy the adventure. Building, fishing, gardens, dungeons, and so on. In general, the cuteness and atmosphere of this game is simply at a high level. But what is the most pleasant thing is that you don't have to wait for it, you can play right now. But you have to wait for Chrono Odyssey, and you can't wait at all. In my opinion, this is the most impressive game of all that was today. It's a true next-gen thing with amazing graphics, amazing original style, with godlike animations, almost all of them, and the same lighting. I want to play this game not just for fun, but to stick to it for tens or hundreds or even thousands of hours. Plus, it's a non-target fighting game, and the fights remind me of Souls-likes. And if you're subscribed to my channel, you know that I am a wild fan of Souls-likes. As for the release date of the game itself, it is still unknown, but it is expected to be released in the second half of 2024. Long, but I hope the expectations are worth it. And in general, I hope that you have finally picked up something interesting from this genre and are ready to turn off the waiting mode. Finally, at least there is something to wait for. And the choice is not small, I tell you, it's more than pleasing. I remind you that you can press like and subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Thank you for watching and see you next time.